Good morning. Hand today is going to be 8-7 hearts. We are in hijack, but it's a short table. Instead of usual 10, we've got 9-8 playing. I guess usual is 9. So for hijack, it folds us. We open raise. We get a caller in the big blind. We get a caller on the button. So two callers are both playing like 40% VPIP. Both of them have about 40-ish hands. So let's start with our range hijack. We're looking at something like this. Note that that Jack 10 off doesn't really factor in yet. I think that's kind of interesting, but we're playing some hands. We're playing our position. We're playing the fact that first three people folded. So 7-8's good. I'd be raising this in early position too. Now this guy's playing 43-11. We're looking at probably 40% plus, or about 40% or so. We only have 44 hands on him. In the cutoff, he's played 40%. Button, he's played 71%. So 2 out of 5 from the cutoff, 5 out of 7 from the button, 2 out of 7 from small blind, 3 out of 7 from big blind. He's played 2 out of 8, 5 out of 10. I think he's looking at, I put a range like this. This is about 41%. I excluded aces and kings from 3-bet. We haven't seen a 3-bet yet, so 0 out of 20, but we do have some notes on him. We've got a 4-bet range of kings, but we don't really have any 3-bet. We've got called 3-bets in position. We've got called 3-bets out of position. Both of those, like ace-5 suited, queen-9 suited, we have those in our range. We've got sixes in our range. We've got limp, call, and call to raise. You can see like 5-4 suited, 9-7 suited plus. You've got, I think we've got our hands kind of all worked out. Not a massive number of offsuit hands. Offsuit hands tend to be big ones, but we do have, called 2-bets from blind range with Jack 7 off and 5-4 off. That could be the blinds, but I would bet that the offsuit connectors are pretty good. So I'm going to say, I have a note here that he had ace king and did not 3-bet. So a hijack opened, and then he was in the small blind and just called with ace king. So I've got aces and kings that he would be raising. I think we could probably say he would have raised, let's say, a third at the time with ace king, to be safe, and maybe even queens. So we do have some raises in there, so it reduces hanging combos. That brings us down to 40%. Big blind, we're going to go with a range like this. This is 50%. I think he's probably playing just as wide as the button, but probably a few more hands since he is in the button and he closes the action. We don't really have notes on him. We do have a raise first in with king jack suited. He bets 50, checks, and then raises 100% versus 100% lead with, let's see here, jack 9-9, 2 jack, jack 9-9, 2 jack, and he had king jack. So line follows GTO recommendations, which I think was interesting because with a king jack and you flop jack 9-9 and then a 2 cut, you bet and get called, then you just check behind instead of going ahead and betting. I thought that was kind of interesting. So just gonna be difficult for us to put him on a range. I will say queens plus ace king. We'll say that is his raising 3-betting range. Or at least that's what we'll go with. His aggression 16%. I think this is 0 out of 14. It's possible we could also scale it, just like we did the other one. This one though, I think we'll scale like 50% on those and assume kings and aces were always going to be raises. All right, so flop comes out 10-9-3. check to us, and we are looking at betting. At least I think we are. So let's work out our ranges. Let's see what kind of draws we have on here. We've got open ender and gut shot. That's 22%. This is three-way, so we're going to be less willing to bet a huge amount. So just with this, we are at 47%. That's top pair plus. We're in middle position. We're against two players that have bigger ranges. They're bigger ranges than us. I think we have to tighten up just a little bit because we don't have yeah, it's going to be hard for us to fold out all of the hands. So I think maybe like king 10, ace 10, so top pair with, you know, second kicker plus, that gets us to 20%. Then we would have to find kind of some extra bluffs. I think maybe like pocket pair below the board, bottom pair, those could be used as some bluffs. I think all of our middle pairs are probably just going to be checks, and probably check calls with those. You know, if we go 2-card backdoor flush draws, you know, we're not adding a massive amount. And those are all end up being like gut shots as well. So I think what we're going to have to probably do is when we do our overcards is probably throw in like some of these hands, you know, like an ace, king, king, queen, ace, jack. See, these are still good. Those are good shots too. I mean, that kind of gets us there. Ace, queen, ace, jack. Yeah, ace, jack plus king, king, queen. Something like that. C-bet 60%. And we could probably scale it down too. We could probably check a little bit. Like we probably don't have to bet all of our overpairs either. So if we, you know, back down like those aces and kings, that drops down 10%. So that means it's less overpairs that we had that we're betting. Let's get that. Yeah, that's a whole lot better. This is a whole lot better. 45%. I think that makes a little bit more sense because I don't think we're going to be winning. I don't think we're going to be getting a whole lot of folds. So we're going to go with that. We do bet. And unfortunately, we don't have a backdoor flush draw. So we get one caller. So this guy's out, and this guy calls. So this guy calls. His fold to c-bet stat 0. So 0 out of 3, 0 out of 1. We'll give him like any pair. We'll call with any pair, and we'll do like overcards. Would he raise at any point? He doesn't seem like he's super aggressive. And we can see like aggression factor 0.67, 2.5. Well, that's not bad. I bet he, you know, if he has like a set or two pair, I bet he comes out with the raise on the turn. So we continue 4 hearts. Doesn't really improve us much. So it's gonna be harder for us to continue. I think, you know, if we included all of our open enders, it's 20%, and then we could continue betting. You know, at this point, top pair plus. I think top pair plus looks pretty good. So maybe we're gonna have to include a lot of our gut shots, but probably not like 8-6, and possibly not even queen 8. king, jack, king, queen probably look okay. Yeah, if we were gonna back off on some, it could be these 7, 6, 8, 7. They're kind of the low end of the straight that we could check, and we could use those as a check call as well. I guess if we're at 70%, we assume he's going to be bigger, so maybe we increase our frequency. We've already kind of decreased what we're betting. I checked here and kind of thinking that might be somewhat of a mistake. I kind of just froze up against a loose player. We bet, we get raised. I think we're calling this. Unless I included these in as part of our check raising range. So, if I selected some of these, and let's do that. Let's change this. So we already know we checked. So let's say 33%, we check with tens. Oops. Check with nines. Sometimes check with threes for the check raise. Two pair, we'll say 50% with two pair. Over pair, not sure if we're strong enough for those, but if we've got some checks there, so here, our weak pairs would be checks. Yeah, so then we would use some of these as check raises. And 7-6 really does look good, because the 7-6 could be catch an 8 or it could catch a 5 as a and the 5 would definitely be surprising. So if we go like that, maybe even queen jack there. Yeah, that could be it. Those could be our check raising hands. About 50% of the time we're going to be, or I have 40%. Let's do a third. That's good. 9 and 6. So that's probably a pretty good one. Gut shots, I think would be used as a check as well. They're not necessarily being used as check raises, but I think kind of check calls. And that's the same thing with those. With the weak pair, let's get those up here. Those are more like checks, and we're not really even gonna, probably not even gonna be check calling those. Oh, so I had a weak pair there. Oh, is that an issue? Yeah, so now it became definitely unbalanced a bit. So if I raise this up to 2/3, 5, 6, that's a little bit better. All right, so that's what we'll do. And I don't know if this is what I was planning, but I think that's the idea. Is we are checking a lot. 8, 6. Yeah, those are 7, 6, and 8, 7. We have all those. King Jack. I think those were all going to be gut shots. We've got let's get those out of the way. And Queen, I think Queen 8 and Jack 8. Yep, we have those factored in. I think the only one was Ace King. Yep, so that's about better. So 35%. All right, we'll go for that check. And then villain checks behind us, so he didn't bet. And I think from that, I'm going to eliminate sets 2 pair. And I think probably overpair. I have to imagine overpair or bet. But, we'll do overpair at like 66%. Now 50%, so 50% of the time he'd bet. I think the rest he's probably just checking. So we're going to go with this. So I do think his hand became a little bit weaker as he loses those big cards. And we still kept our check raising hands in there. All right, so 7 of clubs comes out. Doesn't improve us. We went check, check. We have a pair. I think we are going to be checking. I think obviously we're going to have some bets here, but I think for the most part we're going to be checking. So we still have some straights and sets. 7 wasn't the greatest. So I think overall plan is to check, and I think some of our check raises will be the straight. Jack 8 would be a check raise, and I think a couple sets would be a straight, and then I think other ones would be a call. So it goes check, check. So he's got everything at this point. I'm going to eliminate the straight, and I think we have to leave everything else in there. So we check. He checks. He shows ace queen, and that should still be in his hand, his ace high hand. And I win by catching that 7. So interesting for us. So we can take a hand here, kind of help us get a read on this guy. So he called hijacks 3 big blind RFI in cutoff with ace clubs, queen of spades. He is in position. Call 50%. Check, check on a 10 of spades, 9 of clubs, 3 of diamonds, 4 hearts, 7 of clubs. All right, so yeah, I think we could definitely bet the turn. We attack this player, and perhaps that's what maybe that's his MO, is that he calls flop C bets a lot, but then he folds to a turn bet. So it takes a double barrel. We definitely have a hand that could bet and then call a raise, but at the same time we also have to consider possibility of keeping in some checks in our range, and this could be a check raising range too. It's a bottom end of the straight, but if we're looking at Jack Queen, you've got a king or an 8 that could come. Maybe a queen and a jack also could improve just by catching a pair, whereas a 7 and 8 probably less likely, especially if we think villain's going to have a 9 or a 10. Now, if he comes back with a raise, I don't think a 1 pair hand is going to win. So that's why I don't think there's necessarily a favorite between queen jack and 7 8. If we're getting raised, we're going to have to catch our straight, is my opinion. I think this flop C bet was okay. I think we do. The turn is okay. Could we have bet the river? No, I think once we check the turn, we're going to check the river. I think this would have been a tough one. If we bet the turn and he calls and then we check the river, I think it would be difficult for us to continue. So I think we'll just end it here. Hopefully you enjoy this hand. If you do, you can look tomorrow for another hand.